What if Miyamoto Musashi was alive today? Would he still carry two swords? Or would his weapons be ideas and discipline? Would he duel his rivals in business boardrooms, on sports courts, or maybe on digital battlefields? Imagine a man who never lost a fight, yet spent his final years meditating on emptiness. A warrior who trained not just his body, but his mind and spirit. A strategist who once carved a wooden sword from an oar and used it to defeat a master. Musashi didn't just teach people how to win battles, he taught them how to win within themselves. And that's exactly why his teachings still feel uncannily relevant in a world he never lived to see. So how would Musashi's ancient code of discipline, strategy, and introspection fit into the fast, hyper-connected, digital chaos of today? What would he do if he lived in our world? Let's explore how the wisdom of the greatest swordsman in Japanese history might just be the inner compass we all need today. Welcome to The Unfolding Journey, the channel where we dive deep into timeless minds and the inner transformations that shaped them. Here, we explore not just who historical legends were, but what they mean for us now. If you're into philosophy, personal growth, and the untold depths of ancient wisdom, you're in the right place. Musashi's timeless core, the foundation of strategy. Miyamoto Musashi wasn't just a swordsman, he was a strategist of life. His book, The Book of Five Rings, isn't a sword manual. It's a guide to navigating chaos, uncertainty, and the self. At its heart, Musashi's teachings revolve around self-discipline, mastery through repetition, adaptability in the face of change, clarity of perception, acting without ego. These aren't just battlefield ideas, they're life ideas. They don't belong to any one century or culture. They belong to anyone who wants to rise above mediocrity. And in today's world full of noise, distraction, and ego-driven hustle, Musashi's clarity cuts sharper than ever. Musashi in business, strategy over tactics. In modern business, there's an obsession with tactics. The newest marketing hack, the latest startup model, the fast growth. But Musashi understood something deeper. Strategy always wins over tactics. In the Book of Five Rings, he writes, "You must understand that there is more than one path to the top of the mountain." If Musashi lived today, he wouldn't chase trends. He would focus on principles. He'd ask, what is the essence of this business? What does the customer truly need? Where is the weak point in the market? Musashi would be the kind of leader who wakes before dawn, analyzes his competitors not to imitate them, but to find their blind spots. He would likely avoid the spotlight. He wouldn't brag on LinkedIn. He wouldn't flaunt success. Instead, he'd quietly dominate. He'd be the quiet CEO who shows up to meetings like he's walking onto a dueling ground, calm, prepared, clear-minded. And if the business world collapsed tomorrow, he'd adapt without complaint, because Musashi believed. You should not have a favorite weapon or a favorite path. In other words, attachment is weakness. Musashi in sports, discipline over talent. Now imagine Musashi as an elite athlete. Not the flashy, highlight reel player, but the relentless one. The one who trains in silence, studies tape when no one's watching, and doesn't get rattled under pressure. He believed in training until your body becomes the weapon, and in moving without thinking, because the discipline has already been ingrained. You must train constantly, and strive to see clearly even in confusion. This fits perfectly in modern sports psychology. When athletes talk about flow state, Musashi already wrote about it 400 years ago. He called it void, or the state beyond mind and body. He would likely distrust fancy sports tech, and instead focus on the fundamentals. Grip, balance, breath. Timing, rhythm, spacing. The mental game above all. He wouldn't celebrate a win too loudly. He'd be training the next day, refining his weaknesses. He wouldn't idolize coaches. He would respect them, but train like no one's coming to save him. He would master his own way. Musashi in personal growth, fighting the inner war. Musashi's greatest opponent was never another swordsman. It was himself. In his final years, he secluded himself in a cave to meditate, write, and reflect. He spoke often of the void, the space where ego and attachment dissolve, and clarity emerges. If Musashi lived today, he'd likely be misunderstood. He wouldn't be an influencer. He wouldn't be on TikTok preaching hacks. But he'd be the kind of person whose presence speaks louder than their words. He'd wake up early, meditate, train, study. He'd live frugally, not because he was poor, but because he didn't need more. He'd read ancient philosophy. He'd practice stoicism, not perform it. The true way of the warrior is the resolute acceptance of death. Now, in today's context, that doesn't mean seeking violence or danger. It means living so fully, so presently, and so intentionally that death holds no fear. He would teach us to let go of distraction, stop chasing approval, focus on building inner strength, know ourselves deeply and fearlessly. In a world of likes and dopamine hits, Musashi would remind us, you win battles by knowing the rhythm of the situation, and that rhythm often begins within. Musashi in creativity, art and war as one. Many forget, Musashi was also an artist. He painted, carved sculptures, practiced calligraphy. He believed that the way was not limited to the sword, it was found in all things. When you know the way broadly, you see it in all things. If he lived today, Musashi might just as easily be a designer, a filmmaker, or an architect. But his approach would be the same: discipline, simplicity, and total immersion. In the age of creative burnout, of social media anxiety and overproduction, Musashi would focus on quality over quantity. He wouldn't seek viral hits. He would create slowly, meaningfully, and his work would last. He would remind artists today, don't chase aesthetics, chase truth. Master the brush like you master the sword. Musashi in relationships, honor without ego. Musashi didn't marry, and some think he lived a life of cold solitude. But his writings suggest deep thought about the nature of respect, harmony, and integrity in human connection. In today's world, flooded with performative relationships and superficial connections, Musashi would value depth over breadth. He would speak less, but his word would mean more. He would honor loyalty. He would walk away from drama without a backward glance. He would avoid gossip. He would tell the truth, even if it cost him. And perhaps most importantly, he would never betray his own values for approval. That's the kind of integrity modern life desperately needs. What we can learn from Musashi today. So, what would Musashi do if he lived today? He would wake early and train relentlessly. He would speak less and observe more. He would read, write, reflect. He would never waste time comparing himself to others. He would accept death, and in doing so, live fully. He would master business not by gaming the system, but by seeing through it. He would win in sports not with flash, but with focus. He would create from stillness. He would live without fear. Musashi's world was one of swords and feudal warlords. Ours is one of screens and information overload. But the internal battles, the doubts, distractions, and desires remain the same. And his path still offers a powerful way through it all. The way is not outside you. It's not in a book, a course, or a mentor. It's within. And if Musashi were here, he'd tell you, do nothing which is of no use. If this journey into Musashi's modern relevance sparked something in you, if you felt the power of his ancient wisdom echoing into your own life, then join us for more. Subscribe to The Unfolding Journey, where we explore the lives and lessons of history's greatest minds. Not just to learn about them, but to learn from them. We go beyond biography into the soul of the story, because transformation isn't history, it's personal. Until next time, train with purpose, live with clarity, and walk the way wherever it leads.